My name is Emily Carter. I'm 27 years old, living in Seattle, Washington, and if there's one word that defines me, it's ambitious. I built my career from nothing, brick by brick, never asking for shortcuts. My sister thought it would be funny to borrow my car for a joyride, but when she saw the GPS light up with my company's logo, her laughter froze on her lips. If you're watching this, please like and subscribe. It helps more than you know. Has anyone ever taken advantage of your hard work, your trust? Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'd love to hear your story. That car was more than a vehicle to me. It was freedom, independence, a symbol of everything I'd built on my own. A modest black SUV, not flashy but dependable. And, most importantly, it carried something no one in my family really knew about. It carried me, the real me. The woman I was outside of family dinners and sibling squabbles. Because hidden in that car wasn't just a GPS. It was a direct link to the company I had founded, the company no one thought I could build. Lily was the opposite of me in almost every way. 2 years younger, carefree, impulsive. The kind of girl who lived for the thrill of the moment. She borrowed clothes without asking, maxed out credit cards, and laughed off consequences like they didn't exist. Where I was cautious, she was reckless. Where I worked, she played. But she was my sister. And for years, I made excuses for her. She's young, I'd tell myself. She'll grow out of it. Except she didn't. It started on a Saturday morning. I had left my keys on the kitchen counter while I was upstairs, double-checking some contracts for a major client. When I came back down, the keys were gone. So was the car. At first, I thought I was losing my mind. Maybe I'd misplaced them. But then my phone buzzed. A notification from the GPS I'd installed. My company's custom-built GPS. And there it was. A blinking dot moving across the city. My car. My sister. Minutes later, my phone lit up with a text from Lily. "Don't freak out, Em. Just borrowing the car for a little spin. Be back soon." My hands shook as I read it. Borrowing? Without asking? With my car? The one tied to contracts, client meetings, and sensitive company tech? I typed furiously, "Bring it back. Now." No response. Instead, the GPS showed her circling downtown, stopping at coffee shops, picking up friends, laughing her way through a day that didn't belong to her. Hours later, when she finally pulled into the driveway, I was waiting, arms crossed, fury boiling. She stumbled out of the car, her friends giggling behind her. "Relax, Em. It's just a car." But then she saw it. The GPS screen on the dashboard, glowing bright with my company's logo. My company. My secret. The thing I'd worked for years to protect. Her smile faltered. Her laughter froze. And in that instant, I knew. This wasn't just about a joyride anymore. She had crossed into a world she wasn't supposed to touch. Because when family betrays you, it's never just about what they take. It's about what they reveal. And my sister had just revealed more than she could ever handle. Growing up in Seattle, our family looked ordinary from the outside. A modest suburban home with a well-trimmed lawn, weekend barbecues, and the occasional family trip to the coast. But what outsiders couldn't see was how uneven everything felt inside those walls. Lily and I couldn't have been more different. She was the free spirit, the wild child, the girl who skipped class but always managed to charm her teachers with a smile, the one who showed up to family gatherings late, hair still damp from a spontaneous swim, laughing like she had no idea she'd kept everyone waiting. I was the opposite, meticulous, driven. Always the one who remembered birthdays, who kept the family calendar, who balanced work and school until my eyes ached. My parents used to joke about it. Emily's the brain, Lily's the heart. They said it with a smile, but the truth was, heart often meant trouble. Mom was soft-spoken, always trying to smooth things over. "She doesn't mean any harm, Emily," she'd say whenever Lily crossed the line. Dad, on the other hand, admired boldness. He'd grin at Lily's antics, shaking his head but secretly impressed. She's got spirit. The world needs that. And me? I was praised for my grades, my focus, but it was quieter, less enthusiastic. The unspoken rule in our house was that I'd be fine. I didn't need attention. I didn't need rescuing. So when Lily messed up, the family rallied. When I succeeded, they nodded. Even as a kid, I noticed it. One Christmas, Lily broke Mom's antique vase while dancing in the living room. She laughed, shrugged, and everyone forgave her within minutes. The same year, I accidentally spilled juice on Dad's papers. He frowned, sighed, and muttered, "Emily, you've got to be more careful." Lily's mistakes were quirks. Mine were flaws. I learned early that the rules were different for her. By the time we hit our 20s, those differences had only sharpened. I put myself through college, working late shifts at coffee shops and saving every dime until I could start my own business. A tech startup, nothing glamorous at first, just an idea and a laptop in my cramped apartment. Lily bounced between jobs, retail, bartending, short stints at offices she hated. She lived for the weekends, for concerts and road trips, for freedom. And still, whenever she stumbled, my parents excused it. She'll find her way. Meanwhile, when I worked myself to exhaustion, they said, "Don't stress so much. Life's not all about work." The SUV was my first big purchase. I bought it outright after my company landed its first major contract. Not fancy, but reliable. To me, it wasn't just a car. It was a symbol of independence, of late nights coding, of risk after risk finally paying off. But to Lily, it was just another toy. She'd borrowed my things before, clothes, makeup, even my laptop once, spilling wine across the keyboard. But the car? That was sacred. Or so I thought. When I told my parents about the Joyride, about Lily taking my car without permission, they brushed it off. "She's your sister," Mom said gently. "Don't be so hard on her." Dad chuckled. "It's just a car, Emily. Relax." I stared at them, fury rising. "It's not just a car. It's tied to my company." But they didn't understand. They never did. To them, I was overreacting. To me, Lily had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. Because it wasn't just about the car. Lily had stumbled into a part of my life I'd kept carefully hidden. A part of me I wasn't ready to share. My company was my pride, but it was also my shield. I hadn't even told my family how successful it had become. And now? Now my reckless sister had touched it, seen it, and I knew, sooner or later, she'd want more than just a joyride. That night, as I lay awake staring at the ceiling, I realized something chilling. It wasn't the car I was afraid of losing. It was everything I'd built behind it. And Lily had just found the key. After the joyride, I thought maybe Lily would apologize. Maybe she'd recognize how serious it was. But with Lily, remorse was never part of the equation. The morning after, she waltzed into the kitchen barefoot, hair messy, sipping from my favorite coffee mug. "You're overreacting, Em," she said casually, as if she hadn't just violated one of the biggest boundaries of my life. "Overreacting?" My voice shook with anger. "You took my car without asking. You could have ruined everything." She smirked, leaning against the counter. "Relax. It's just a car. And besides..." Her eyes flicked knowingly. "What's with that logo on the GPS? Didn't know my big sis was hiding secrets?" My stomach knotted. "That's none of your business." "Secrets are fun," she teased, before sauntering out of the kitchen, leaving me seething. Days later, at a family dinner, Lily couldn't resist. "So, Em," she said loudly, twirling pasta on her fork, "how's your mystery company? Or is it just some side hustle you're embarrassed to talk about?" Mom frowned. "Lily," but Dad chuckled, sipping his wine. "What's this about, Emily?" I felt heat rush to my cheeks. "It's nothing, just work." Lily grinned, leaning back in her chair. "Oh, come on, she's hiding something big." I saw her car's GPS. Fancy logo and everything. The table went quiet. I forced a laugh, masking panic. You're imagining things. But the smirk on her face told me she knew she had leverage now. A few nights later, she cornered me in the hallway. Her tone was different this time, colder. You know, Em, people would be really curious if they knew what you were working on. You should tell me about it. I crossed my arms. You don't get to know. Stay out of it. Her lips curved into a sly smile. Careful. Secrets have a way of slipping out, especially when little sisters get bored. The warning in her voice made my stomach drop. I started locking my office door at home, password protecting files, double-checking my email security, because Lily had never cared about my work before. But now that she'd glimpsed even a piece of it, she was circling like a shark. And the worst part? My parents still brushed it off. She's just curious, Mom said. She's teasing you, Dad added. Don't take it so seriously. But I knew better. Lily never teased without an agenda. One evening, I came home late from a client meeting. The house was dark, except for the faint glow of my office light. I froze. When I pushed open the door, Lily was sitting at my desk, my laptop open in front of her. She jumped up quickly, forcing a laugh. Oh, I was just checking my email. My pulse raced. On my computer? She shrugged, trying to play it off, but her eyes flickered with something sharper. Interest. Hunger. I snapped the laptop shut, my voice low, trembling with fury. Don't ever touch my things again. She smirked, brushing past me as if she hadn't just crossed another line. But I knew. She'd seen something, and in that moment, standing in the glow of my office, I realized the Joyride wasn't just about the thrill anymore. It was about curiosity, greed. And my sister wasn't done digging into my world. It happened on a Thursday evening, one of those days where work had consumed me from dawn to dusk. I came home drained but satisfied, ready to collapse on the couch with takeout and my laptop. But when I walked through the front door, I knew something was wrong. The driveway was empty. My SUV, my car, my sanctuary, the one tied directly to my company, was gone. At first I thought maybe I'd left it at the office, but my keys were missing too. My heart pounded. I sprinted upstairs, yanked open the top drawer of my desk. Empty. The spare keys were gone. I didn't need a detective to figure out who had taken them. My phone buzzed. A GPS alert. Vehicle in motion. I tapped the notification, and there it was. A blinking dot weaving through the city, heading toward downtown, where I knew my company's office was located. My stomach dropped. No, 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 no! I called her, straight to voicemail. I texted, Lily, where are you? Bring my car back now. No response. 2 hours later, I heard it. The crunch of tires on the driveway. The headlights swept across the living room window. I stood by the door, fists clenched, waiting. Lily strutted in like she owned the world, tossing the keys onto the counter. Her friends trailed behind her, giggling, the smell of alcohol clinging to them. Relax, she slurred slightly. We just wanted to see what all the fuss was about. Your fancy car. Your little company. My throat tightened. What did you do, Lily? She smirked, pulling out her phone. Just gave my friends a tour. You should have seen their faces when the GPS lit up with your company's logo. Guess you're not such a boring workaholic after all. Her friends burst into laughter, one of them chiming in. Yeah, Em, who knew you were hiding something like that? Must be nice, running a big company and not telling anyone. Heat rushed to my cheeks. My secret, my company, my independence, the thing I'd protected so carefully, was now gossip for her drunken friends. Lily leaned closer, her voice mocking. Maybe if you weren't so uptight, you'd know how to have fun with it. My vision blurred with rage and shame. You had no right, I whispered, my voice shaking. She shrugged. It's just a car, Emily. Don't take life so seriously. I wanted to scream, to throw her phone against the wall, to erase every trace of what she'd just exposed. But I couldn't. Not yet. Because the truth was clear. She'd crossed the line. It wasn't just about borrowing anymore. It wasn't just about curiosity. It was about betrayal. She had taken the one thing I'd built for myself, the one thing I hadn't shared with anyone in our family, and turned it into her Joyride entertainment. Later that night, Dad pulled me aside. "She's young, Emily. Don't be so harsh on her." I stared at him, disbelief burning in my chest. "She humiliated me. She put my work at risk." He sighed. "It's just a car, just some teasing. Don't make it bigger than it is." I wanted to scream. Couldn't they see? Couldn't they understand? But they didn't. And in that moment, I realized I was alone in this. I locked myself in my room, clutching my laptop, staring at the glowing screen long into the night. I wasn't just angry. I was broken. But beneath the collapse, a spark of something else flickered. Because if Lily thought she could expose me without consequences, she had no idea what storm I was about to unleash. The house was silent that night, but my mind wasn't. My sister's laughter still echoed in my head, her smug voice replaying like a broken record. "Guess you're not such a boring workaholic after all." The humiliation clung to me like smoke. I sat on my bed with my laptop balanced on my knees, staring at the logo that had caused it all. My company's insignia, clean, sharp, professional. The thing I had poured every sleepless night, every saved dollar, every ounce of myself into. And now it wasn't mine alone anymore. It was a joke shared between Lily and her drunk friends. A party trick. Tears blurred my screen. I slammed it shut, pressing my palms against my eyes. "How could she?" I whispered. "How could my own sister do this to me?" The next morning, I expected confrontation. Maybe even support. But when I came downstairs, Mom was cooking breakfast like nothing had happened. Dad scrolled on his phone. Lily hummed as she poured orange juice, looking fresh, as if the night before hadn't even touched her. No apology, no acknowledgement. I wanted to scream, but instead I sat quietly at the table, my appetite gone. When I finally broke the silence, "She can't keep doing this," Mom sighed. "She's young, Emily." Dad didn't even look up. "You're making too much out of it." "And Lily?" She smirked, sipping her juice, her eyes meeting mine with a glint of victory. I left the table, retreating to my room. I curled under my blanket, the weight of it all pressing down on me. It wasn't just the betrayal, it was the dismissal. The constant reminder that in my family's eyes, my boundaries didn't matter. My work didn't matter. I didn't matter. I whispered into the pillow, voice trembling. Maybe I am overreacting. Maybe. Maybe it's not as big a deal as it feels, but even as I said it, my chest ached. Because deep down, I knew it was. That night, I couldn't sleep. I paced my room, mind spinning, replaying every moment. Her smug grin, Dad's dismissal, Mom's silence. And then, like a lightning strike, a thought cut through the haze. If I let her get away with this, she'll never stop. My heart pounded. It wasn't just fear anymore. It was fury. Because Lily didn't just take my car. She took my power. And my parents handed her permission to keep doing it. I sat at my desk, opening my journal, the one I usually used for business notes. On a blank page, I wrote 4 words in bold letters. "She won't win again." Beneath it, I began listing everything she'd done. The first joyride, the mocking at dinner, snooping on my laptop, exposing my logo to her friends. Line by line, the betrayal looked bigger, heavier, and undeniable. And with every word, my resolve hardened. By dawn, I knew one thing. I wasn't going to stay broken. I wasn't going to keep crying into my pillow while she laughed behind my back. She thought she had me cornered, too uptight, too afraid to fight back. But she didn't know me. Not really. Because under the ambition, under the exhaustion, under the quiet compliance, there was fire, and I was done letting her walk through my life like it belonged to her. I closed the journal, the words still burning in my chest. She had started this war with her joyrides and her smirks. But I was going to finish it, and she wouldn't see me coming. Revenge wasn't going to be loud. Not yet. If I wanted to stop Lily for good, I couldn't just yell or threaten. That had never worked. She thrived on dismissals, on everyone saying, "She's young," or "It's no big deal." This time, I needed proof. A plan. A way to expose her on my terms. The first thing I did was lock everything down. I upgraded my laptop security with two-factor authentication, changed every password, encrypted sensitive files. If Lily thought she could snoop again, she'd hit a wall of fire she couldn't climb. But protection wasn't enough. I needed to turn her curiosity into the rope she'd use to hang herself. I started paying attention, noticing the way she hovered near my office door, the way her eyes darted toward my car keys on the counter. She wanted another opening, so I decided to give her one. On purpose, I left my spare keys in plain sight on my desk. Not hidden, not locked away. Just sitting there, waiting. And on my laptop screen, I left a file open, quarterly reports, confidential. The truth was, the document didn't contain sensitive data. It was bait, a red herring designed to look valuable. Because if Lily took the car again, if she snooped on my computer again, I'd be ready. I invested in a small camera, barely noticeable, tucked into the corner of my office. It was motion-activated, recording everything when someone entered. For weeks, I'd felt powerless, screaming into silence. But the moment I saw the red light blink on, I felt control returning to me. If Lily crossed the line again, I'd have proof. Evidence I could show, not just to my parents, but to anyone who doubted me. During this time, I confided in someone outside the family, my business partner, Claire. Over coffee one morning, I whispered the whole story. The joyrides, the laptop snooping, the humiliation. Claire frowned, shaking her head. "Emily, that's not just careless. That's sabotage. If she exposes company information, it's not just family drama, it's liability." Her words sent a chill down my spine. Liability. This wasn't just about sibling rivalry anymore. It was about protecting everything I'd built. "Set the trap," Claire urged. "If she's reckless enough to do it again, catch her. Then you'll have more than anger. You'll have leverage." Her voice was steady, practical, the way I wished mine had been weeks earlier. For the first time, I didn't feel like I was overreacting. I felt justified. So I waited. Patiently. Quietly. Every night I checked the footage. Every day I left the bait visible. And Lily, being Lily, couldn't resist for long. One evening, I walked into my office and noticed the keys had been moved. Subtle, just a few inches, but not where I'd left them. My pulse raced. The trap was working. I sat at my desk that night, the glow of the hidden camera feeding live to my phone. I knew it was only a matter of time before she took the bait, and when she did, I'd finally have the proof I needed to bring her crashing down. It happened on a Friday night. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I was upstairs pretending to read when I heard it. The faint jingle of keys, the creak of my office door. My pulse spiked. I grabbed my phone, pulled up the hidden camera feed, and there she was. Lily slipped inside, glancing over her shoulder. She spotted the keys on the desk and grinned like a child finding candy. She picked them up, twirling them in her hand. Then her eyes landed on my laptop. I watched her lean over, scanning the screen. She whispered to herself, smug. "Quarterly reports. Oh, this looks important." I nearly laughed. She had no idea it was bait. She shoved the keys into her pocket, clicked the laptop shut, and slipped out of the office. Minutes later, the sound of the SUV roared to life in the driveway. My heart pounded. Proof. I had her on camera stealing my keys. Proof that this wasn't just sisterly teasing. This was theft, sabotage. An hour later, headlights swept across the window. The car pulled in, brakes screeching slightly. I stayed upstairs, watching as she stumbled back inside, humming like nothing had happened. She tossed the keys onto the counter and went straight to her room. But I didn't need her confession. I had the footage. The next morning, I played the video on my laptop while Mom cooked breakfast. "Watch this," I said flatly. Mom frowned. Dad looked annoyed. Lily walked in mid-bite of toast. And then the video rolled. Lily sneaking into my office, pocketing my keys, shutting my laptop. Her face drained. Mom gasped. "Lily, what?" Dad muttered. "This must be a mistake." But the evidence was undeniable. She exploded. "You spy on me now? You put cameras in the house? That's sick, Emily." I stood tall, voice calm. "Don't twist this. You stole from me. Again." Her eyes blazed. "It's just a car. You're acting like I committed a crime." I leaned closer, my voice low, steady. "You did, and I have the proof." For the first time, she had no comeback. The silence at the table was heavy. Mom whispered, "Lily, you crossed a line." Even Dad, who always excused her, stayed quiet. His jaw was tight, his eyes on the video replaying again and again. And me? For the first time in months, I felt control shift back into my hands. But Lily wasn't finished. Later that day, she barged into my room, furious. "You think you've won? All you did was make me look bad to Mom and Dad. But trust me, Emily, I'm not done." Her words were venom. Her smirk returned. And in that moment, I knew this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of the real fight. I had proof. I had shaken her confidence. But as her door slammed down the hall, one thought chilled me to the bone. The next move she made wouldn't just be petty, it would be war. The camera footage had rattled Lily, but it wasn't enough. She still had her smirk, still had her swagger, still believed she could twist the story until she came out on top. I needed more than a small win. I needed a reckoning. 2 weeks later, my company hosted a launch party for a new partnership. It wasn't a massive event, just investors, staff, and a few close associates. But it mattered. And for the first time, I decided to invite my family. Lily's eyes lit up when she heard. "So this is the big secret you've been hiding? Can't wait to see what all the fuss is about." Her tone dripped with sarcasm, but I smiled. Because I wanted her there. I wanted her to see the world she mocked, and I wanted everyone else to see exactly who she really was. The event space glowed with city lights, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking downtown Seattle. My company's logo shimmered on a large screen at the front. Investors mingled with glasses of champagne. My team chatted proudly beside product displays. And in the middle of it all stood my family, looking around like tourists in a world they never thought I could create. Lily strutted in heels, pretending she belonged. She whispered to a friend she'd dragged along, "Bet half of this is just smoke and mirrors." I heard it, and I smiled, because tonight, the mirrors were hers. When the speeches began, I stepped onto the stage. "Thank you all for being here tonight," I said, my voice steady, filling the room. "This company started as an idea in a cramped apartment. And now, it's grown into something bigger than I ever imagined." Polite applause. I glanced toward my family's table. Lily rolled her eyes. "But," I continued, "success doesn't come without challenges. And sometimes, those challenges don't come from competitors. Sometimes, they come from people much closer to us." The room shifted. Murmurs. Curiosity. Lily sat up straighter. I clicked the remote. The screen behind me flickered. Up came the video. Lily sneaking into my office, pocketing my keys, smirking at my laptop. Gasps rippled through the crowd. On the second clip, she slurred to her friends in the driveway, laughing about the logo on my GPS. Investors turned to look at her table. My staff whispered, shocked. "And Lily?" Her face drained of color. She shot up from her chair. "You had no right to show that. This is private." I met her glare, my voice calm. "You had no right to take from me, to humiliate me, to risk everything I've built." The silence in the room was suffocating, all eyes on us. I held my ground. "So, I decided if you wanted to make me a joke, then you could stand in the punchline. For everyone to see." Her friend shifted uncomfortably, mumbling, "Lily, seriously, what were you thinking?" Mom covered her mouth, horrified. Dad's face was stone. "And Lily?" She looked small for the first time in her life. Small, cornered, powerless. Her smirk was gone. I turned back to the crowd. "This company isn't just mine. It's a team effort, built on trust and respect. Tonight, you've seen what happens when that trust is broken. But you've also seen proof that nothing, not theft, not betrayal, can take this away." The room erupted in applause. Investors nodded, impressed. My team cheered. And at that moment, I knew. Lily couldn't twist this. She couldn't lie her way out. The truth was projected on a 40-foot screen. But as the applause echoed and Lily stormed out of the room, her heels clicking furiously against the floor, I felt a chill. Because humiliation doesn't end in silence. And I knew her rage would come back to haunt me. The launch party ended with applause, champagne glasses clinking, and investors shaking my hand. But beneath the congratulations, I felt the lingering tension of what had just happened. Because while my company had celebrated a victory, my family had fractured. The car ride back was suffocating. Mom sat stiff in the passenger seat, her hands twisting in her lap. Dad stared out the window, silent, his jaw clenched. And in the back, Lily scrolled furiously on her phone, her face pale but her fingers moving fast. Finally, she snapped, "You humiliated me, Emily, in front of everyone." I turned, meeting her glare. "No, Lily, you humiliated yourself. I just showed the truth." Her lips trembled. "You'll regret this." Her voice was venom, but her eyes were glassy, rimmed with unshed tears. For the first time, I almost believed she was realizing the cost of her choices. Almost. The days that followed were messy. Mom begged me to apologize. "She's your sister, Emily. Family forgives." I shook my head. Family doesn't steal. Family doesn't sabotage. Family doesn't laugh when you're broken. Dad stayed quieter, but when he finally spoke, his voice was sharp. "You shouldn't have dragged this out in public." I laughed bitterly. What choice did I have? You never listened when I tried in private. The silence that followed was damning, because they knew I was right. Word spread quickly. Her friends stopped calling. A few even unfollowed her online after the video leaked through whispers at the event. She tried to spin it, of course. It was just a joke. She overreacted. She's obsessed with her company. But the footage spoke louder than her excuses. And slowly, Lily found herself alone. At night, when the house was quiet, I thought about everything that had happened. I should have felt pure triumph. I should have been basking in victory. But revenge doesn't leave you clean, because alongside the satisfaction came a heaviness. The recognition that I hadn't just exposed my sister, severed something that might never be repaired. And maybe it had been broken long before the car, before the GPS, before the party. Maybe this was just the final crack. One evening, Lily knocked on my door. Her voice was small, almost childlike. "Emily, can we talk?" I hesitated, then opened it. She stood there, hair messy, eyes red. For once, no smirk, no swagger. "You ruined me," she whispered. "Everyone hates me now." I swallowed hard. "You ruined yourself, Lily. I just stopped covering for you." She looked at me for a long moment, as if searching for the sister who used to protect her. Then she turned and walked away. The door clicked shut behind her, and with it, something in me closed too. Weeks passed. My company grew. My independence solidified. But the house stayed colder. Meals were quiet. Conversations clipped. And though Lily rarely spoke to me, I could still feel her eyes sometimes, watching, simmering, waiting for the moment she thought she could take back what she'd lost. But deep down, I knew she couldn't. The damage was done. Because some betrayals don't just bruise relationships, they end them. And as I sat alone in my room that night, staring at the glow of my company's logo on my laptop screen, I realized the choice ahead of me. Would I carry the bitterness forever, or finally let it go and be free? The night before I moved into my new apartment downtown, I stood in the driveway, staring at my SUV parked under the streetlight. The same car Lily had stolen, the same car she had mocked, and instead of rage, all I felt was peace. Boxes filled the back seat. My laptop sat safely in its case. The logo glowed softly on the GPS screen, a reminder of how far I had come. Mom hugged me goodbye, tears in her eyes. Dad muttered a stiff, "Good luck." And Lily? She stayed upstairs, her door shut. For years I had chased her approval, her friendship, her sisterhood. But tonight I realized I didn't need it. I didn't need any of them to tell me who I was. That first night in my new place, I lay on the floor with unpacked boxes around me. The city lights spilled through the window, painting patterns across the walls. I opened my laptop, the logo glowing again. For months, it had been the source of conflict, of betrayal, of humiliation. But now, it wasn't a weapon. It wasn't bait. It was mine. My company. My achievement. My future. And no one, not my parents, not my sister, could erase that. Betrayal doesn't just hurt because of what's taken. It hurts because of who takes it. My sister didn't just steal my car. She stole my trust. She mocked my ambition. She tried to make me small so she could feel bigger. But in the end, she failed. Because every time she pushed me down, I rose higher. Every insult, every smirk, every dismissal became fuel. And now, I stood taller not despite her betrayal, but because of it. When I think of Lily now, I don't think of the sister I lost. I think of the woman I became. The one who stopped shrinking. The one who stopped begging for understanding. The one who took back her power and built something unshakable. She thought she was exposing me that night. She showed my logo to her friends. But the truth is, she only exposed herself. And that will haunt her far longer than it ever haunted me. I don't know if Lily and I will ever repair what's broken. Maybe someday she'll change. Maybe someday she'll understand. But I don't need that anymore. Because my life isn't defined by her choices. It's defined by me. And I choose to move forward. Stronger, freer, unstoppable. If this story touched you, please like and subscribe. It helps more than you know. Tell me, if someone close to you betrayed your trust like this, would you try to forgive them or walk away forever? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear them. Because sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't making them pay. It's proving to yourself that you were never powerless to begin with.